Welcome back to A Fantastic Time with me, Taher Houssain. Welcome back to the fourth installment of A Fantastic Time. Now, you might be wondering, why hasn't there been a new podcast episode uploaded in the last 2 months or so? I've been away, up and down the country doing various things. And to be honest, I've been busy with work because it's the summer period. I've just been at work. I work in retail, if I haven't mentioned before, and it's busy, especially during the summer period. It's busy, it's rampant, and I've just been picking up shifts wherever I can, and sometimes I do work 12-hour days, and sometimes it's 6 days a week, occasionally, and especially on those kind of weeks, I'm just absolutely knackered out. So for those kind of reasons, I haven't been too focused on the podcast, unfortunately, and plus on top of that, I've had a lot of social things going on, whether it's been seeing friends across the country, whether it be in London. I travelled down to Dartmoor for about 3-4 days to go and see some friends down there and have a brilliant experience down there. I'll probably get into that a little bit, I'll probably get into that a little bit more later on. But on top of that, I've had to help friends move because I've had some friends move up north recently. That was a long day where we've just had to pack everything up, move everything for them because it was it was a last minute move. I feel like moving nowadays is very last minute. It's not like in the films where you see people just, they've got a couple weeks or something like that. Anytime I've heard anybody move in the last 6 months, I'd say it's been a last minute move, whether it been a month, 3 weeks, 2 weeks. In this case, it was very much 2 days. So I had to just go over there, give them a hand, do the best I could. So I had to help them with that. And on top of that, this month, August, where I'm filming, I've had 2 weddings, not my own, of course, that'd be kind of crazy, but I've had to attend 2 weddings, one in London, one all the way up Birmingham way, so that took a lot out of me as well, especially with those weddings. They were very hot. The entire time we were just absolutely roasting underneath a marquee. It was a beautiful wedding, lovely, family friend, gorgeous, so happy for them. However, it was a very hot day. The venue was beautiful though, so that's a good thing. Food was great, everything was great. But yeah, so just busy with a lot of social stuff, busy with work, picking up shifts, and then doing some thinking as well. I think I've just taken a bit of downtime for myself, just to chill, relax, and just reorganize my life a bit. I think you have to do that from time to time. You've just got to take some time away. I think I've talked about this in a previous podcast or something like that, but sometimes when you get so caught up with everything, whether it be work, friends, events, social interactions, or commitments of some sort, you just tire yourself out. You just don't realize it. You just become fatigued. And I think everything sort of caught up with me last week, where I just had to take some time for myself and just chill, mellow out. I think one of my friends calls it floor time, where you just sort of sit on the floor and just chill. And you just rest, and you don't really do anything, and you just take a bit of time for yourself, just to relax, just to mentally and physically just restart yourself. And I've done that now, and I've had time to record a podcast, which I haven't had the time for. Anytime I've usually had a free day, it's usually been taken up by something else. Whether it's helping someone move, a wedding, I'm traveling. It's always something, but I should be more on it now, so hopefully you'll be seeing podcasts. I'd like to say weekly. I'm trying to do them weekly and edit them up weekly and get all that done. Hopefully I can, but if not, every 2 weeks. That's one of my goals. Well, that's one of my New Year's resolution in August of all times. But yeah, I think that's a good way to go about it. But yeah, I mentioned a trip earlier. I went down to Dartmoor to see 2 of my friends. I was staying on a friend's farm. Beautiful, gorgeous, love Devon, love Dartmoor. I've been there once before. I think I mentioned it on episode 2 or the first episode, that I'd gone down to Dartmoor to do a little photo shoot. Brilliant, had a lot of fun. But this time I went down and actually stayed, and it was absolutely amazing. I think I mentioned again before on a previous podcast, the English countryside, about how beautiful it can be, and the nature and all that good stuff. And granted, the weather wasn't the best. I think it was typical gloomy British weather with a bit of rain. Now we're getting a bit of sun, bit of heat coming back through. But yeah, those 3 days, it was a bit It was a bit muggy, it was a bit wet, but honestly, it was absolutely amazing. I got to swim in an English river, which I've never done. I've never gone river swimming at all before, so that was quite cool. However, I have to say, it was absolutely freezing. Like it's one of those things, especially when you get into cold water. It stings. It stings, especially if your skin's like lukewarm or or it's hot or whatever. It stings for a minute. It gives you a bit of shock, and then you've got to slowly tread water and slowly walk into it. Like you slowly have to make your way deeper and deeper and deeper into the water, and every time it touches a piece of your skin that hasn't been exposed to the water, it's another shock. It's another shock. Honestly, it's the worst kind of feeling. I can understand why they say when you're in places like Antarctica or Iceland or anywhere where it's just freezing, or like Canada where it's just got a lot of cold, and you fall into the water and that shock. I couldn't imagine what kind of shock that would be. Is it at those temperatures? Because I'm not going to lie to you, once you get to about waist height, you've just got to firm it. You've just got to plunge yourself into the water and just come right back out, or just sit in it for a second. Because, yeah, for some reason, getting into just about your waist, like below your waist, easy, fine. Freezing, it hurts, but it's cool. Waist and above, for some reason, I'm not sure if it's just me or if it's a human thing, it's a biological thing, but that bit between your upper waist and your head, crazy. And you've just got to take the plunge. You've just got to just be like, I'm gonna firm it and just go straight in. And I did that, and honestly, the shock that goes through your system, it's mental. It's absolutely mental. Like, you become disorientated for like a good few seconds, because your body's just, I don't think your body can tolerate or handle what's going on. And yeah, like that extreme temperature change is, it's something to be noted, I'd say. But yeah, no, after you do that, however, and your body starts to get used to the cold, for example, and the water, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Like, I know there's something refreshing about it. And right afterwards, we had some hot chocolate. Dried ourselves off, had a bit of hot chocolate, and it just hits different. And dinner that night hit different. I will say, it does tire you out. You will be absolutely knackered. However, you just feel good about yourself. I think my friend was convincing me. She was like, you're going to feel good about yourself. It's going to be great. It's going to be all this and that. And I was just like, yeah, of course. But in the back of my head, I was just thinking, I am going to freeze my bollocks off. Like, my genes weren't meant for this climate. I don't think I'll be able to tolerate the cold, or at least this temperature in water. But yeah, honestly, amazing. I love that. What else did I do? We went on a hike. That was fun. That was on the first day. We got there, put our bags, said our highs and hellos, all that good stuff. And then afterwards, we were like, let's go on a hike. And the hike we went on, I don't think it counts as a mountain in Dartmoor. I'm not sure. You can correct me. I'd call it a hill. But we were definitely above the clouds. Like, there was a point where we were at the top of the summit, and I think I saw some smoke, and I was like, oh, look, something's burning. And I was a bit concerned because it's just all villages around for like a good few miles. And on top of that, it's just wildlife, and it's just greenery everywhere you see. So for me to see clouds while not clouds, but smoke on the top of the summit, that was a bit concerning for me. My friend did point out that they were clouds, and that's when I sort of gauged how high we were. However, the stupid thing was, before we had set out, we had heard thunder. There were cracks of thunder, like, going above the house. So we had waited like an hour or two to go on this hike. So we were just thinking, yeah, it's perfectly fine. Like, we didn't hear anything at all whilst we were climbing, whilst we were going through all these bushes, weeds, like all that good stuff. Like, we saw nothing, heard nothing. We're at the top of the summit, we're taking pictures, we're having a good laugh, and all we hear is this crack of thunder just going above our heads. And we literally dropped to the ground. We hit the ground, lying down. Problem was, because it's in the open fields in Dartmoor, and there's a lot of cows, a lot of horses, roaming around those places. My friends ended up in some cow pats. I won't lie. It was either sheep dung, horse dung, or cow dung, but it was dung. It was poo. It wasn't nice. Luckily, I lucked out on that front. But yeah, no, we had to crawl our way and crouch our way around the summit essentially, and we got off the summit, and then we heard another crack of thunder just shoot above us, and luckily there was like some carvings in the rock, so we just hid there for a good 20 minutes or so. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. And it's funny when you look back on it, but in the moment when thunder's going above your head, it's like, shoot. The idea of being struck by lightning wasn't the best. And the funny thing was, one of my mates has, bless him, he's got a piece of, I think it's like metal, like steel or something, in his ankle, because he broke his ankle when he was a kid. So if lightning struck him, that's a big conductor right there. And when we had hit the ground on the summit, I had actually grabbed onto that leg. When we were just joking, like, if lightning did strike, it would have conducted right through me. Like, it would have not been fun. But yeah, very good experience. I got to ride horses as well down in Dartmoor, which was amazing. I haven't rode a horse in ages. Like, I've done it before, where you're on it for like 2-3 minutes because you paid for it at like some like little carnival, or like it's a little tourist thing. That's all good. But to actually sit down and have a proper tutorial on how to ride a horse, how to canter, how to do this, how to do that, that was amazing. It was a small like hour session or so with my friend, but it was amazing. That's something I would say to people, like, go and ride some horses, go and ride a pony or something, go and take a class, just because it's definitely an experience. It's not like driving like a quad bike or a car or a motorcycle or anything like that, where you're in full control, and anything that does happen is because of your reaction, if you get what I mean. Where with a horse, it's an interesting experience, just because or anybody who's a horse rider or anything like that, or managed horses before, will probably know, any kind of movements you make with your legs, like in terms of tension, where you're placing your leg, where the back of your heel is, anything like that, the horse will pick up on it, and it will move accordingly. And it's so interesting. It's I didn't expect it to be so nuanced, which I find to be quite incredible, actually. And definitely, it's an experience where you're sat on this animal, and you've got to have a level of trust with this animal, and a level of faith. I know it can be quite daunting, especially if you're riding on a particularly big horse like I was. It can be quite daunting, quite challenging experience, especially when you first set off and you're like, this is crazy. The feeling's crazy. It's not as smooth as riding a bike or anything like that. It's up and down. It's riding a living, breathing creature. So yeah, it's an interesting experience, to say the least. But 100%, I would recommend it to anybody. Like I said before, like, this year I'm big on trying new experiences, and horse riding was one of them. And now I've done it, and now I know I really do like it, and I would like to get into it more. So that was quite cool to figure out. Yeah, I don't think I would have had that experience had I not gone down. But definitely, I'm probably going to be looking into taking some classes at some point. Maybe not this year. Maybe this year. Depends on how everything goes. But yeah, that's something I'm definitely looking to get into. So that's a little update about what's been going on with me recently, and why I haven't been uploading, why haven't you seen me in any capacity, to be fair. Yeah, but hopefully, like I said before, I should be getting back on it, uploading weekly or every 2 weeks or so, whenever I get the chance. So you guys have some fresh content to listen to, and you can watch me ramble a bit. I will say I do have some film recommendations. I know, a bit random, but I like throwing out some recommendations here and there. Recently, the two films I have watched in the cinemas in the last 2 months or so have been Fantastic Four and F1. I will start off with F1. It's an experience. It really is an experience. I felt like I was in the driver's seat with Brad Pitt. I felt like I was Brad Pitt. I was Brad Pitt for like a solid 2 minutes, which was amazing. Like, you feel like you're in the film. If you haven't watched it, definitely watch it. If it's still in cinemas, go and watch it. If it's in a cinema near you, do yourself a favor and go and watch it, just because it feels so lively, if you get what I mean. It feels like you're properly in it. The sound design, the visuals. It was done by the director of Top Gun Maverick, and with that film, you felt like you were in the fighter. You felt like you were in the cockpit. You felt like you were in the fighter jet, and you're with them, and you were just flying about. Well, think of that, but on the racetrack, and it's just, it's absolutely amazing. And I feel like the film did the best to capture the sense of speed and the sense of urgency, and again, the sense of nuance, and how everything is within your hands. And any little decision, any little shift that you make can create dire consequences. Yeah, I think the film did really good to just capture the nuances of driving. I know it's dramatized, I know it's a film and all that good stuff, but I think it sort of captures the F1 experience, especially for somebody who's not really into F1 or doesn't understand it completely, where I think most people just think it's just, I think it's about 20 cars, 10 teams just racing around a track or multiple tracks over a season, and yeah, them winning, losing, and all that good stuff. But I think it goes more into, the pit crew, the team, what it takes to make an F1 car, the cost, all that good stuff, and sort of like the politics behind it. Again, it is dramatized, it is, it's fiction, it's not real, but I think it does capture some of the essence and maybe some of the behind the scenes that might go on during an F1, during the running of an F1 team, during a race, during, winning a Grand Prix, and what it takes to actually achieve that, and, the rules and all those sort of things. I think it definitely would have gotten some people into F1, especially people who weren't too interested or even too familiar with the sport, which I think is a bit crazy, just because F1 is probably the most known and watched racing sport, next to GT racing, or in America I think it's NASCAR, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, I could be completely, but yeah, no, I think it definitely has opened up people to a different kind of motorsport, or the most expensive type of motorsport, I think, in this case. So definitely F1 film recommendation. Second one would be Fantastic Four. So as of recording this, Fantastic Four has not done too well at the box offices, in terms of making money domestically or internationally, I think. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be completely wrong on that, but in terms of it being a film and how I believe it's still phase 5, how phase 5 is going, I think it's probably one of the best, next to Thunderbolts and all sorts. I think it was a good family story. I think if you're expecting something along the lines of previous Marvel in terms of previous Marvel films, then I don't think you'll completely get that. It's action packed, but not at the same time, if you get one. There's a lot of story, there's a lot of emphasis on the Fantastic Four, the dynamics. I loved how they fleshed out Johnny. I think Johnny was probably my favorite Fantastic Four member. I think they gave him more to do. He wasn't just this cocky, arrogant, super being, or superhero and brother of Sue. It was just, he had his own personality, he had his own thoughts, he was actually likable, not just in a cheeky way, but as in, he's thoughtful, he's smart, he's intelligent. Because I think in previous installments they sort of failed to capture the fact that he is an astronaut, that he is clever, that he is all these other things, and I think in this one they managed to capture all of that. Of course, there's some plot holes, there's some stupid little things here and there, but all in all, it doesn't feel like it didn't feel like superhero fatigue. I think it was a solid, good superhero Marvel film. However, I do think in terms of phase 5 and how they're going to do Avengers Doomsday and all that good stuff, I think it does leave a lot to desire, especially with the end credits of the Thunderbolts and that pushing into Fantastic Four. I think it was a bit disappointing in that aspect, but all in all, it's a solid film, and again, I would recommend watching it. Maybe not in cinemas, just because again, it's a good film, visually impressive, but I feel like with a film like F1 or Top Gun Maverick or Dune, you have to watch that in the cinemas. That is something that you have to watch. Whereas with Fantastic Four, you could easily watch that on Disney Plus when it comes out. Watch it on your TV. But yeah, all in all, I would recommend it, and I think it's a good watch. I will say, when I was watching Fantastic Four, of course they were showing the trailers, and they showed the trailer, or a teaser trailer, for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, which is coming out next year, completely shot in IMAX. That looks amazing. I won't lie to you, that looks absolutely incredible. It looked so good that when I was in London for a friend's birthday, afterwards the next day I was walking around Camden, and I ended up in Camden Bookshop. I picked up a copy of The Odyssey just because I think he's just got away with cinema, and it's a Christopher Nolan film, so I just wanted to be clued up on what the story was going to be. And also, I do like reading. Currently, I'm reading the classic Sherlock Holmes books, or stories at least, I think, by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. So it's the classic original stuff. My siblings gave me, I think, like the 50th anniversary edition. It's like 1,000-page book. I'm only through like 200 pages, but absolutely amazing, brilliant short stories. Again, if you want to if you want to read some classic literature or like some classic stories, I definitely would read like the classic Sherlock Holmes books, just because it just gives an idea of like how people wrote or how people like thought or what was popular back in those days. And it's quite interesting, actually. Like it's a different perspective on reading, and it's actually interesting. And it's in modern English mostly, so you won't be bored at all. But yes, Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. The trailer looked so good, or the teaser looked so good, to the point where I went out and bought a copy of The Odyssey. So I'm looking really forward to that. Let me know if you guys have watched any like good films recently, any recommendations, or if you've watched any of the films that I've mentioned like in the last breath. Let me know what you've thought about it. If you liked it, disliked it, if you have any points that you'd like to make, definitely drop that down in the comments, because I'm really curious about that, especially about F1, just because I personally thought it was a fantastic film. I think it was a classic film. I think it gave me, again, Top Gun Maverick vibes, and it gave me a sense of like, I think it's like 2000s. It felt like a 2000s film, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, and that sort of gave me a little bit of food for thought. I think watching these films, I think it's got me excited again about cinema, which is a bit weird for an actor to say. I think for me personally, I have taken a bit of time off from acting, from the industry, a little bit, just because I've had some personal stuff. I've been busy, but recently I've been trying to get back into it, booking some workshops here and there. And yeah, I think sometimes, to hit back on that note, I think earlier on I made, sometimes you do need to take a bit of time for yourself and reevaluate and reorganize your goals and see where you want to go, especially when you feel like everybody else's lives are sort of moving forward. And I feel like a few people that I've talked to over these last 2 months have had this to say, where they feel like everybody's lives are moving forward, but they feel like they're at a standstill. And I think that's a common feeling to have, where you feel like your life isn't sort of going anywhere, or it's not moving forward. And to that, I would say, like, you just sort of need to sit in it for like a good minute and just ask yourself, like, why isn't it moving forward? Like, what is stopping it from? Because if it's not moving forward, then that would mean that something is stopping it. So you've got to take a look at that. Like, you've got to see where you're going wrong, or if there's anything that is being done to you or you're doing to yourself that's stopping you, preventing you from moving forward, or actually keeping busy. So I think this last week, where I've sort of had that time to just chill and had a bit of time for myself, I think that was really nice. I've just had that ability to, not ability, but I've had the chance to just reshape all of that, if you get what I mean, and just be like, cool, let's set out my goals. What do I want? What do I need? All that good acting stuff, and see where I want to go from there. So I know if anybody sort of had that, or had that feeling recently or before, or is still going through it, to be honest, just have a sit in it, have a think about what's going on, why you're feeling down, why you're feeling like nothing's moving on, nothing's moving forward, and what can you do in this moment. It's all about what you can do, not about what you can't. So I think that's a little bit of wisdom that I'm just throwing out there. It's just because I know it's a bit random, but it was just a thought that came to my head, where I was just like, yeah, I think I've had that in the last 2 months, where I've just been so caught up with everything. And that's another thing, like, you can get so caught up in just general life. Like, again, like when you're running around, like seeing friends, helping people, seeing family, going to work, but booking trips, and of course that's all lovely stuff, that's just life. But sometimes you feel like you don't have time for yourself and the things you want to do, or the things you feel like you need to do, and not for any purpose, but just for yourself, for you to feel comfortable in your own skin, or your day to day, and feel like, yeah, I'm on the right track with my life. Yeah, and that can be tough balancing. I think that's a thing about becoming an adult or getting out of university or any of that good stuff. It's just sort of balancing your life around everything else, whether it be work, whether it be friends, or anything like that. Like, I've had a few people actually tell me recently, because I've been working so much, that work's not everything. Work's not life, and all that good stuff. And to that I will say, like, yes, work isn't everything. Where you do need to have a bit of fun, you do need to cut loose, you need to actually go and chase your goals. Unless your job is what you want to do and you're exactly where you need to be and want to be, then that's perfect, that's beautiful. I think that's absolutely amazing. I don't think a lot of people can say that, or not a lot of people can say that at a young age, which is sad to see, or sad to say at least. I don't think with the whole working too much, or not everything's about work and then you should go out and enjoy your life. I think nowadays people are caught up with their jobs just because they're going around chasing a life that they want, which is amazing. But then I think you sort of miss the experiences of now, socially, economically, and all that good stuff. So in that term, or in that case, you probably want a bit of work-life balance. But then what is work-life balance? What is it to you? Because for some people, it's 50-50. You need to make an even time for everybody, everything, including yourself, including your job and all that good stuff. But then if you try to satisfy everybody, you satisfy nobody, if you get what I mean, and you don't feel kind of fulfilled. I think I've sort of felt that in the last 2 months, where in the case of I've been working so much, I've been seeing everybody, and because of that, I think I haven't had the time for myself. And it does feel a bit, I know it can sound a bit selfish to say that. I know some people might feel that as well, but I think sometimes you do need that time. And it might be something like just working on your CV. It might be just working on a project that you've wanted to work on. This is only if you haven't had the time to like go out and do your hobbies, do your outlets, or progress yourself in your ambitions and your passions. But yeah, I think that's something that is overlooked nowadays in terms of our day-to-day lives. So do take some time out for yourself, just because, again, if you don't, you eventually will hit that fatigue, hit that brick wall, like I did last week, where I was just completely drained. I was tired. Health-wise, I wasn't the best. Like, it just wasn't good. And you just need that time to just relax. Take a day or two to yourself where you probably just do nothing. Maybe read, maybe play games, go for a walk, do whatever. But do the things that make you happy. Just because that refreshes you, and then that gives you that level of vigor and want and passion and ambition to get back into work, to go out and see the people you want to see, and go and chase the dreams that you want to chase, which I think is really important. And I think for me, at least, like having that downtime to myself, after I was done with it, the first thing I did was book a Shakespeare workshop. So I'll be doing one of those in September, which is amazing. Yeah, because I've been meaning to book a workshop of some sorts to work on my skills, because acting, again, I haven't talked much about acting in my career and my passion and love for it. Maybe I'll do that on the next episode. But yeah, I think it's something to help me just work on my skills, because it's with any skill, with any kind of ability, technique, skill, anything, it always has to be trained in some sort of way. Even me talking to a camera right now, or talking on the microphone, and we're just rambling and talking, that's a skill that needs to be developed over time. It might not be the best right now, but that doesn't mean it won't get better. It won't, it doesn't mean that you won't be fantastic by the end of it. So yeah, I know that was a bit of a ramble about all sorts this podcast, but I feel like just because I've been off for so long, I've just had so much to talk to and so much to divulge, in terms of where I've been, what I've been doing, how I've been, what I've been seeing, and all that good stuff. But if you're going to take away anything from this podcast, or this one is proper rambly, take away anything from this ramble, is just have a bit of time for yourself, especially when you're really busy, especially when you're running around doing all sorts. I think that's when it's the most important to have that time, have that hour or two set aside for just yourself. And that could just be you sitting down doing nothing. That could you be reading. That could you be doing a class of some sort that you've always wanted to do, like pottery, any kind of martial arts, like sport, anything like that. Just or like, even if it's a goddamn walk, go for a walk, but have that time for yourself, just so you don't get fatigued. Because I'm an extrovert, and even I was completely just like, my social battery, I think, died completely from helping out friends, going to work, attending social events. It's a lot, and especially traveling. Traveling, I think, got to me a lot, where I've been, driving up and down the country constantly, got work the next day at like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. And that can be really, in the moment, it doesn't feel taxing, but eventually, I think it just wears down on your mind more than anything. Where it wearing down on your body, yeah, that's something. But I think the mind is where, that's where it really gets you. So, yeah, if you have been exhausting yourself, if you have been feeling like, hey, life's at a bit of a standstill, just take a bit of time for yourself. Just take a rest, take a moment to just reevaluate everything, get everything in order, and then you can get going again. Because again, even in F1, bringing it back to F1, the film, even they need to, they're going for a pit stop every now and then. You get what I mean? It might be a few seconds, it might be a few minutes, whatever. If it's a few minutes, you're probably not going to win the race. I'm not going to lie to you, but you need to make a pit stop eventually. Like, that's just the nature of things. That's just how things go, and there's no shame in it. Because the sooner you get to do that pit stop, the sooner you get to go, get going again. And the longer you leave it, the longer you have to stay pitted, because the more problems there are. So that's a little takeaway from this podcast. But yes, thank you for watching this episode of Fantastic Time. I know it's been a bit rambly. I know it's been a bit all over the place. I do apologize about that. I do apologize for being away for about 2 months. But yes, I am back now. There should be new episodes weekly or every 2 weeks. And I should, fingers crossed, have streamlined it. And also, the social medias should be up and running. I know I said that about like 2 months ago, but this time it will be up and running. Like TikTok, Instagram, that should be all down in the description. So if you would like to go and subscribe and follow me there, please do. I would really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you for watching A Fantastic Time with me, Taher Houssain.